You started drinking at 14, so somebody influenced you to start. And even before that, did you have a positive influence or did something go wrong?
I had a few things that happened. So a lot of stuff came easy to me. I'm fairly
Mm,
athletic. I learned pretty easily. I dated the cutest girl, the captain of the
right,
cheerleaders. I was
right,
the captain of the basketball team. And this is through middle school, right?
right.
And, did really well academically. And then between eighth grade and ninth grade,
Mm,
I broke out with cystic acne and pretty bad.
mm,
And so I had gone from this person that, according to me, I was a good looking kid, right?
right, right.
I'd never had challenges at all academically. I'd always gotten A's. I was the fastest kid in my school, all those
Mm,
things, you think, oh, and you go to a bigger pond again when you get to high school.
mm,
And so when I go to high school, I remember three things happened pretty quickly. One is I had probably been like a conceited kid, really hiding my lack of self-confidence, right? That's usually what conceit is, right? I don't have self-confidence, so I'm pretending, I'm bravado.
right.
And so I get into high school and all of a sudden I have like 1 in 100 kind of cystic acne. I remember going to, I think it was US history or something along those lines. And Mr. Webb was our teacher and he assigned a project for the semester. And the next day, there was a kid in our class who had been at a private school named David Canuel. And David Canuel turned his project in. And I looked at the project and I was like, wow, that's a better project than I've never done work like that.
Mm.
Right. And he ended up actually being our valedictorian, went to Amherst and,
Oh, wow,
so,
wow.
but anyway, so all of a sudden, instead of being kind of the smartest kid, I was like, okay, well, I can't compete there.
Mm,
And then PE, when you're doing presidential physical fitness tests. And I remember instead of being the fastest kid in the school, James Shanks was faster than I was, and David Smith was faster than I was. And, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the best looking, and I'm not the smartest. And so you're familiar with the concept of fixed versus growth mindset, Carol
oh, yeah,
Dweck. Yeah.
absolutely.
So I grew up with a very much of a fixed mindset, right? I was celebrated for
Mm,
being really smart,
mm,
being these things, right? Not my effort to do those things.
right.
It was about I was those things.
Mm,
And so when you look at her work, what she finds is that when you're celebrated for that as like a part of you, a lot of times what happens is you become attached to protecting that perspective
mhm,
rather than being willing to face the challenge. And
right.
so really those 15 years of alcoholism was me being unwilling to face the challenge. And so I really stopped growing. And I felt it was more important to protect the idea that I was really smart
Mhm,
as like some potential thing
right.
than to use whatever I had to try and get better. And so because I wasn't trying, who knows if I would have been smarter than David Canuel, right?
Right, right,
Who
right.
knows? I might have been the valedictorian if I could have done that,
Mhm,
but I didn't have the courage to put myself out there. And so I withdrew. And then I did not want to stand out also because I think people were happy. Some people were happy. Oh, look at John. He's a zit head. I literally remember walking into science class and it said John Garrity is a zit head
oh
on
my
the
gosh.
desk. And so I didn't want anyone to care enough about who
Mm,
I was to attack me. So I wanted to become kind of mediocre
mm,
and just kind of blend in. And so there
right.
was plenty of people that I even switched sports, which I never really loved football anyway, but I switched to soccer, which was much more of a wild group of people. You
Right.
know, I mean, it just was, right? Everybody was partying. It was incredible how much people
Mm,
drank at my high
mm,
school. Um, not in school necessarily. I didn't drink in school,
right.
but weekends we would go to the beach and they would have parties on the beach with like 10 kegs of beer.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
just high school kids.
Oh,
There
wow.
was no one legal. And then the cops would come and would move from one part of the beach to another part of the beach to another part of the beach. Um, and so that's kind of how I grew up. And then I went off to college kind of in the same way.
Mm,
Went to the University of Florida, which was a good school then, is a great school today. would have never gotten in based on my academics, based on
Mm,
like what their standards are today.
right.
But there were a lot of kids from my high school. So it really was just, oh, look, this big party just moved to the University of Florida and now your parents aren't even there.
Wow. Wow. Wow.